We are back, and it is another tepid day in the market ahead of tomorrow's CPI print. You like that one, Kevin? We are going to be discussing that, the latest with the ARM CPO or IPO, which is going live. CPO, IPO, CPI. What the fuck am I even saying anymore? We're going to be talking about stuff today on Money Never Sleeps. What a dog shit intro that was. Welcome back to Money Never Sleeps, everybody. Before we get going, do us a favor. If you're even watching anymore after that beginning, hit that like button down there. Subscribe to our channel. Nothing Kevin or I say is financial advice. We are not financial advisors, clearly. So please do your own research before making any buys or sells. Randy, Mr. House, welcome. Good to have you as always. Kev, we're seeing a little bit of, sideways movement in the markets. The NASDAQ is down mainly as a result of Tesla and Apple today. Apple just concluded their event where they showed off the new iPhone 15 Pro and Pro X or whatever the hell they're calling that $1,200 phone. So that is leading the markets down. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Energy prices are absolutely ripping at the moment. Oil is going pretty crazy. We got Brent crude at over 92 a barrel. I'm blanking. There we go. WTI is at just under 89. We are seeing a lot of renewed concerns around inflation, which we will get the next print tomorrow. Where do you want to start off today? Because we have a few different ways that we can attack this.
Let's start with energy prices first.
Okay.
We'll go into CPI.
Okay. So energy prices, like I mentioned right there, oil is absolutely picking up steam. And that is something that is not great when it comes to inflation. We are going to see a higher headline number tomorrow, most likely. That's what everyone is counting on. And that is purely due to the fact that oil is at a 12-year seasonal high. That is not good. And if we look back, this is the highest price we've seen oil in how long there, Kev? What was the last time that we closed at a level this high?
This high? Fuck, that's back in November 2022.
Okay, so we're coming up about 10 months since we've closed this high. We back in March when I think that was right around when we started doing this show. We had talked about oil being at a low point, and it was like $63. And it was basically the pico bottom for this cycle of where oil has gone to. And guess how much oil we bought at that time? Fucking nothing.
Zero.
Which is just we can't really victory lap a call when we didn't actually take action on it.
38% up since. Fuck.
Yeah, 38% up since then. Neato gang. Now I just need natural gas to follow suit and go on a nice little run, and I can close out that trade and be happy. You told me it was going to $30 for natural gas. I'm holding you to that. That's what you said. That's what you said. No, don't no hands up on that one. That's what you said. So I'm holding you to it. But energy prices are going to really start weighing on people. It's rough, man. Thank God I have a Costco membership and I can get a little bit cheaper gas through Costco, which having a Costco membership is like an absolute necessity pretty much always, but especially during a bear market when every little dollar counts that you can be putting toward buying more low-priced assets. So just something to keep in mind. If you got a Costco or Sam's Club nearby, take advantage of that shit. Go in with some friends on one if you need to, and save yourself some money there. But back to energy. When we look at this chart, Kev, we see that there's still plenty of room to go. And the thought that it couldn't get, some people are saying it can't get to $100 a barrel again. Bullshit, it can't. It can, and it most likely will.
Yeah, I mean, look at Brent, right? Brent's been kicking ass. I mean, that's close to $100 a barrel right now. I mean, obviously, it's got a little bit to go, but I mean, U.S. oil, WTI is not far behind at all. The problem I have with oil going up, again, is that gas is naturally going to go up too. And we're seeing that a lot of energy concerns, not just in the United States, but globally. I know our petroleum reserves are extremely low right now in the U.S., but we're seeing a lot of issues. Again, that's why we're also seeing natural gas shoot up, not just in the U.S., but in other parts of the world. Escalation with the war, and then we have issues in the United States with, look at Texas. The energy grid is absolutely insane because it's been so hot down there this entire summer. So we're seeing a lot more energy being used. U.S. oil and natural gas are going to go up naturally because of that. But again, we're also heading into the winter months, right? Something we got to keep in mind. But this chart on the monthly, yeah, we're ticking up. We can see that it's starting to move up. I'm not surprised that we are going up in this direction heading into the end of the year. This is an issue for inflation. Obviously, it's going to be an issue for inflation tomorrow when we get the CPI print, but it's even going to be an issue when we get the September data for CPI too, right? So we're thinking like a few months ahead. If we're anticipating at least one more rate hike this year, in the November meeting, it's probably kind of leading, pointing in what direction that inflation is probably going to print. Again, uh, the further that this goes, the worse it's going to get for the consumer, and especially if consumers are being 100% stretched to a limit which they can't spend anymore. This is going to be absolutely detrimental. I mean, sure, oil could go down if the demand goes down, but right now we see high demand and the prices continuing to go up because we have such low reserves in the United States.
Yep. We are seeing in the Fed funds forecast, God, I love the alliteration there, 41% chance that we're going to get a rate hike at the November 1st meeting. And it's basically locked in that we're not going to get one this month. It would have to take a market crashing number tomorrow to change that, which honestly, I don't really hope that happens. So let's just, let's keep moving on. But we have the energy discussion. We know that like the downward pressure or like the upward pressure and cost will absolutely be a result of renewed conflicts and continuing to for the situation in Russia and Ukraine to get worse. And we're seeing all these drills taking place over there. We're seeing Putin meeting, going to China, leaving Russia for the first time. We're seeing North Korea, coming to visit Russia, a nice little get together of the dictators. And there's
NATO.
absolutely some
NATO,
shenanigans. Yeah.
40,000 troops that they're doing military exercises with next year. Again, we're seeing people talk about war games. It's usually code for, hey, this is what's going to happen. It's not a good sign. Again, it seems like we're also having some issues in, the China Sea with Taiwan once again, too. I don't know, man. It seems like there's a lot of drills going on right now, and that's just absolutely terrible. I'm still concerned about Turk Stream and, the pipelines in the Black Sea. We're doing military drills right there right now. Wouldn't be surprised if that causes natural gas to go up just because so people are afraid. I mean, if something were to happen, obviously that would shoot the price up, and that's terrible. But I wouldn't count it. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw it in the news. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, the news really, you never know what's going to happen, right? No one can predict the future. You have to just make the best educated guess you can. But right now, the situations that are going on globally do not paint a rosy picture. We have a lot of the central banks next week are making Fed decisions. We have a few this week as well, beginning on Thursday. But we are seeing, the UK make their decision on what they're going to do with rates. We have the Eurozone, for the most part, the ECB is going to be making their next rate decision. Are they going to hike again? Are they going to use the holding rates higher for longer language that we're seeing over here in the US? It seems very likely. So this is not just a problem for the US, it's a global thing. And if you're only looking at it from that narrow lens of what's impacting us here in the States, that is problematic, and you need to zoom out a little bit. Now, I continue to be bullish on a few developing markets, including India, including Brazil. One piece from the Apple presentation today is that they're going to be shipping iPhones that are made in India on the day that they ship globally. So there's, a continued emphasis on building in India from Apple, which I believe is a positive. More companies will begin doing the same. And I think that they are, once again, a country, whatever their name is going to be changed to, I keep forgetting, but they are a country that I think we need to continue to look at as an opportunity to invest, whether it's through ETFs, whatever means it may be, because they're growing. Like, their economy is going to surpass China's at some point in our lifetimes.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm bullish on India. Bharat would, again, I think it's going to be different names. We'll probably still call it India because that's just what we do here in the U.S. But yeah, it's just I'm bullish on it. I think that they are putting in an extremely strong market right now when the market here in the US and other parts of the market in, Europe and Asia have been taking a pretty good leg down. They're pretty resilient. And, I think that their middle class is going to continue to keep growing. That's going to help, companies grow as well. There's going to be a lot more money, I think, circulating in India. And that's kind of what you want to see right now, right? We're in a bit of a liquidity crunch, but we're seeing that there's a lot of money and turnover in India. So, yeah, I'm still bullish on them. Again, right now, is it the time for me to be bullish? Maybe not the best entry, but I do think that, once we get out of this stupid fucking period of whether we're in a recession or a soft landing, I think that there's going to be a lot more clarity. And I'm going to place my bets with, maybe some nations that I think are going to do extremely well for the next 10 to 15 years, at least 10 to 15.
Absolutely. Let's talk about Apple for a little bit. We're seeing the sell-off intensify over there, now down $4 a share today, about 2.2%. Their presentation was, I would say, lackluster, if you're trying to put it nicely. They're upping the cost of the iPhone 15 like Pro Max version to $1,199, not quite $1,200. But they're jacking that price up another $100. What they're really looking at is the fact that there's this new processor, this new GPU that is going to be great for gaming, because everyone wants to play, games on their phone these days, but they're trying to really make it a gaming focused. At least that was part of the presentation, touting Resident Evil 4, Assassin's Creed as some of the titles that will be on iPhone in the coming months with this faster processor chip. Also looking at the, everything's about how many, it's like you got 25 cameras on your phone. Like there's just so much like hype and noise around it. And for the most part, it wasn't anything too impressive. And we're seeing that reflected in the stock price right now. People like, why would someone, you'll always have the Apple purists who are sipping the Kool-Aid and are part of the cult who will buy the new shiny toy as soon as it comes out. But as we've talked about, discretionary spending is coming down. We're seeing delinquencies go up. Rates are being held higher. How much, are people really at the point where they're ready to be like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and buy this new phone. This is a good way for me to put my money to work. Let's get this new iPhone. I don't think so. And the same thing with the watch and everything. Yeah, that's great in a bull market when there's money everywhere and rates are low and everyone has discretionary spending, but this ain't that. So to me, this is not surprising that we're seeing the market react negatively to this news today.
Oh yeah, 100%. Fuck Apple, and that's me saying that on my MacBook Pro right now. I'm saying that because once again, this seems, and I'm not saying this at Apple directly, but it just seems like this market knew that this news leading into it would be pretty decent, and they kind of sold off, right? They sold it off as another sell the news event, and it's no surprise to me that a lot of this stuff is lining up right before, around, or on CPI data day. And obviously this is supposed to get people excited. And I think a lot of people are getting excited there in this this wave two that we're seeing. These yellow lines here, because we had a pretty good correction once we went down from 171, we bounced all the way up to about 190, right? So that's a really good move. That's about a $20 move, and people were probably getting really excited. We knew that the date was coming, that this Apple news would come out. I think a lot of people got out of their positions here. We filled this gap on this side. We went up here. After wave twos are very, very tricky, and I think a lot of people misunderstand, they underestimate what's going on, or they misunderstand what a wave two really is. They think it's a rally going up higher, and that the bounce is here and it's going to go up higher than the wave one. It's not in that case. It's not in this case. It's never in this case anyways. We are below the 50 moving average on the daily. We're going closer to 200. If the 200 doesn't hold, it's likely we're going to continue to go down. And again, I think that this is the wave three. We're in the wave three right now for Apple. And it doesn't mean the wave three, to the end, but it just means the wave three for right now to, maybe it is the end, but to go down further from here, right? Obviously, there's going to be bounces. There's going to be nested waves within it. I mean, if this is a 5-wave move in wave three, this could be a 5-wave down, 3 waves up, 5 waves down, 3 waves up, 5 waves down, shit like that. But it just seems like a lot of these patterns are playing out. We know that the news doesn't mean anything anymore. They're selling the news, right? The only thing that people buy on are the rumor and the anticipation that something's going to go up. Here we are, September 12th. We got the Apple news. None of the products are really that interesting. People don't have money. Therefore, the price is going to go down because guess what? finished the wave 2. Now we're in the wave 3. So that's what I'm seeing with Apple. And I think that's the case for a lot of things right now. People got really excited. People are still kind of excited for some assets, but this is I think people are getting out, and the smart money got out of a lot of these assets earlier, and they sold from higher. So if you did see any of those pumps in those wave 2s, that's literally what happened. And I think that's the case for, I can pretty much say that for anything on the board right now, especially in NASDAQ.
All right, let's get into crypto. I think that's enough on Apple today. We've seen a little bit of a bounce back up in crypto from yesterday's sell-off. To me, it looks like a dead cat bounce. It looks like one that is not long for this world, and we're headed back lower, despite what everyone wants to tell you on social media. This just looks like there's nothing. There's the sell pressure is still there. Like, we hit 1,600 and it's right back down. It wicked up. Bitcoin had a nice little wick up there. It's coming back down. It's right back to 26K, trying to stay at that level. Like, don't get me wrong, it was a nice move up from where we were, but there just seems to be a lack of people who really want to buy at that price still. And where's the liquidity going to come from?
There is no liquidity. Actually, there was this morning. We'll look at the 5 minute and the 1 minute chart for this, because this is really stupid, and people will realize, okay, maybe this is a pretty dumb move. So this is, pull up the 5 minute chart, right? But this is Bitcoin. This is the pump that we got. Look at this on the 5 minute chart. Fucking straight up green missile all the way up. And you got some more over here. Got a really big one here. Let's put it this way. We know that there was a wallet that minted like $130 million worth of Tether this morning, or last, I think it was early this morning, shot up literally right after this price, right after it minted. So I'm assuming that it was Justin Sun, because it was on the Tron blockchain. It was sent to Bitfinex. Price went up instantly. These are not sustainable moves to the upside. What happened was that they're liquidating shorts that came in too late once we got below that 25K level. And, they liquidated them all the way up. And I'm looking at this right now. This is not organic whatsoever. This honestly looks literally like Bitcoin on the weekly. If I pull this up on the weekly, it's almost the same exact pattern that we got here. And then the thing that we talked about here with this was that it was a market maker pattern, right? I don't think that what we're seeing in the shorter time frames is anything different. I think that they're manipulating this market 100%. They're liquidating anyone they can to get as much money as they possibly can in both directions. We saw that the move yesterday, there was so much selling pressure that no one could really get a bid above it. They needed the stable coins to be minted. And I said that you would see the price shoot up if we saw stable coins being minted, and they did. But where we are today is no different where we were 2 days ago. That's the thing you have to keep in mind, because I think a lot of people got really excited once it started shooting up above 25K. It's back in 26K. But here we are back in the sideways trading pattern, right? Nothing's changed. You got this blue line here that's acted as resistance. You didn't even go up to it and touch it because the selling pressure came in a little bit earlier. But you got the death cross right here. Sometimes Bitcoin does rally going into a death cross. It's very possible. Sometimes it rallies above it and the death cross comes in. But where we're seeing here, we're seeing a lot of resistance. We're still within this sideways move. I still believe that we have to go further down. It's kind of ironic that this is happening the day before CPI data. I think a lot of people had the opportunity with this move up to get out of the market. I mean, it shot all the way up to about 26.5. It hasn't invalidated anything. We would have to go all the way to 28.5 to change the structure. We have not. But the price shot up. We got rejected, and we see that the death cross is probably going to happen in the next day or so. On the moving averages, the death cross already has came through, but we're using the estimated moving averages. I think that they're a little bit better, especially when we look at support and resistance. They've been pretty spot on with this entire time. But the thing that's really dangerous with Bitcoin shooting back up here is now that we have Bitcoin dominance, it went all the way up to about 50.04. And that's not a good thing. This is including stable coins too. So minus stable coins, Bitcoin dominance is way higher than people really anticipate. And now we're at a level where the dollar is stronger than it was yesterday, and Bitcoin dominance is extremely high. I mean, Bitcoin can go up, the alt pairs are going to bleed regardless. And if it goes down, it's going to bleed harder than it bleeded out yesterday. So it's something that we have to keep in mind. We have to, just keep watching. But this is not a good setup, in my opinion. I think a lot of people are trying to sell from higher. And if we look at just some of these alts, I mean, on the side, yeah, they're green today, but Bitcoin decides to dump, everything's going to just follow suit, maybe even harder. So I think it's just giving people another opportunity to get out of the market. and we'll just have to see how that plays out there.
All right. What else on the crypto side do you want to look at? Any other charts that have been catching your eye?
Yeah, I mean, let's take a look at. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
Let's take a look at Solana, actually. I want to look at Solana. Like, there's been some positive news from Visa around what is being built over there. And I think that's not to be ignored as we, prepare to start accumulating more of these tokens as the bear market rolls on and we potentially hit a bottom. So what are you seeing with Solana? I know you had that target of $5, but not everyone is going to wait and try to catch the bottom there. Do you think that, not financial advice, if someone were trying to DCA, is now a good time? Do you think that there's going to be better opportunities? If I were let's use me, for example. If you were going to tell me when I should start DCAing Solana, is this a decent enough range?
I'll do one better with this. If I wasn't the ballsy motherfucking cocaine bear that I am, would I be DCAing here? Probably not. For me, if I were to DCA, I'm going to personally DCA in this yellow box range that we have down here, just to be, to be safe, right? I think we're going to probably sweep the lows that we got back in, December of 2022, early January 2023. I think this is a really good range to start, having some bids in there to pick up some Solana. Again, that's between $12 and roughly about $7.99, right around there. I think it's 806, but
this is not financial advice. That's not financial advice.
No,
definitely.
I mean, honestly, that's where I think I'm going to have some bids though. The lower end of that more so than the higher end. I might have, this might be the box that I see there's a gap in, but I know that there can be wicks down. I think that there is a pretty good level of support down here. We can see that back in August 20, that's good resistance there, and it broke through it here. So that's what my reasoning is for 487. So if I were to be getting into Solana, I'm probably, just me personally, where my bid is going to be somewhere in this range down here. I'll even change, not that. Let me change this color. Just change this to the green. And that didn't do anything. We'll change it to green. There we go. That's probably going to be my range down here. Mainly because I noticed that there's wick down here, and I know that there's a lot of support here. There isn't necessarily a lot of support in this range. I'm just surprised it actually held here. It's at $8 and it rallied up to a perfect three-way move up. But yeah, I think that where we are now, this is from July 14th, I believe. Yep, July 14th. That was a bad day for me personally, because the stupid XRP decided to faux pump and retrace entirely to where it was prior to that today. But nonetheless, we can see that here, that this has been playing out perfectly. I mean, I have no problems with Solana right now with how it's acting. I honestly think that we're going to probably have to come down to maybe like $12, $13. I think that's where we might get a little bit, further down before we get a bounce up and then, finish off. And it really depends on, how high some of these waves go. Like if we get a D wave here and it decides to go up a little bit higher, it's obviously going to come down lower. So that's going to change the price target. But I think that right now this is playing out to a T. I think that we are going to probably get back down to where we were back in December of 2022. And DCAing in some range around here isn't necessarily the worst idea. Again, if Solana were to go to zero, then that's worst case scenario. I don't think it is. I think Solana is pretty strong now, and I used to have problems with it, but I can see that there is value and people really do care about it. I wouldn't be surprised if retail decides to get back into it. Clearly, Visa's, getting into it with Solana too. So if we want to be bullish, there's a lot of catalysts going forward. But again, there is much more downside in my opinion, and that's how I'm operating before I start getting into this asset.
Okay. Anything else, or is that a good place for us to leave it on the technical side?
Let's do one more, and then let's talk about the dollar, and then we can talk about ARM real quick. Dollar, I have not much to say. I just want to bring it up. Let's do total market cap, right? Let's see. There we are. So we saw that we're back above $1 trillion, right? Not the greatest thing that we wanted to see, but it hasn't changed the course of anything. We're still closing below the 200 and the 50 moving averages. And on the weekly, you can see we're doing the same thing. This is going to start coming down. They're going to correct. And unless something stupid were to happen where, these patterns that usually don't play out here, I still anticipate it's coming down to at least the origin, which is around 730 billion. And honestly, if we're looking at support, there isn't a lot of support here on this side. That's just, again, very similar to Solana. It held there and it just started shooting up. So we might have to look for some decent support somewhere else. I mean, there's a little bit of support here at 570 billion. There's a lot of support here down at 386. I think, actually, my bad. We got some good support here at 770 billion. So that makes sense here. I didn't see it back here. But I think we're going to break lower than that. So I would anticipate maybe somewhere around either this range between 548 to 460 billion. And then if we come down lower, I mean, this honestly would be the ideal. I mean, got 3 levels of resistance here acting as support for when we come down to the bottom. That would be 400 billion or so in total market capital across all of crypto. Obviously, Bitcoin would probably have to be at 10K at that point or sub that. Alts would definitely be bleeding out insane. They would Bitcoin, honestly, if Bitcoin dominance continues to rise, and then we do see Bitcoin eventually go to that 10K level, alts are going to be done for the most part. You're going to see extremely good discounts on a lot of them. I'm not saying that it's over for all of them, but I think that we're going to see some really good price action down at that level. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. But that's 770 billion. Just looking at it right now, that's a key level of support. If you break that, you're coming down to some of these levels down here. So I'd keep an eye on that. And if we do, I mean, we will eventually come down to there. But if we start closing the weeks below this, then what the next target likely is for all of crypto. So just keep an eye on that. But I think that nothing has changed here. It's still head and shoulders within a bear flag. It's got to come down. Has it yet? No. But there's a reason why we also expect that assets are going to continue to decline. And that's because the dollar is still strong. Dollar has not changed anything for me. As of recent, we can see that on the hourly, it's completely corrected to the downside. We're still, fighting this 50 moving average in the hourly. It doesn't mean anything really. But if we look at the daily, we're coming down. We're going to correct. We're probably going to see if we can find some support off of this. But the thing we got to remember with the dollar too is that tomorrow is CPI. And this is when, we start to see a lot of this move. So if CPI comes in higher than expected, the dollar's going to fly up, right? That could take us to 105.65, 69, around that range. And if we get above there, then obviously we're going to try and test this as support. And we got resistance here. We got support here, resistance here. This is a huge level. If we start closing above that, we might be able to take out some of these other ones in the future. But again, what cost does that come at? Likely the economy or the market is going to be in a really bad state. It's going to be a state of flux where volatility is going to start coming back. The VIX is probably going to be taken off. I wouldn't be surprised if the VIX over the next 2 weeks even starts to take off a bit. I think that volatility is coming soon. But especially if this dollar goes above here, I think that the VIX is going to follow suit, and we might see, the VIX shoot up a decent amount over the next few weeks. So I've been reading a lot on that Bloomberg trade that we talked about last week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure, again, I'm not saying that I'm sure, but I think that might have been someone from JP Morgan that might have placed that bet.
Really?
So they're the only bank that's kind of realistic. There was a guy on today, forget his name. His last name is Michael, but he was on Bloomberg in the morning, and this dude was just spitting 100% facts that no one else is talking about right now. He's saying that the consumer is stretched, that we thought that the Fed was going to cut rates earlier on because of the banking crisis back in March, and they kind of prolonged it because of the bank term funding program. And he said that since that came out, we've added even more money in the past few weeks. So people are still borrowing when they shouldn't be borrowing. That number should be coming down as they pay off, their debts, but they're not. It's racking up. So when I see a guy like that talking about it, and I'm seeing what the dollar's doing, I honestly do believe that volatility is coming in. I'm seeing these pumps that are happening that are illogical, and people are, celebrating them. We haven't moved up or down really out of this range. When we look at crypto too, we're not in a place where I think we are bullish or bearish. I think we're in a place where it's like, hey, let's get the fuck out of here at even the smallest amount of a loss. If it means that we can buy it back in, and save some face and save capital and, not go under like, a lot of people did back in 2008. So I think that a lot of things are lining up to that. CPI is just such a huge data metric tomorrow. It's going to fucking throw this dollar in flux, whether it's up or down, likely to be up. VIX as well, likely to be up too. And if we start getting below some of these major indices levels, then we're going to start seeing these machines just absolutely start selling. Because once it gets below certain levels, they just start short selling or they start buying, depending on their wherever they have their ticker tape set up. But when I look at
get your quant ready. I do need to get jumping here in a second, Kev.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So that's to finish it off. The ARM IPO, absolutely BS in my opinion. It's coming out at the perfect time, just like we were seeing VeChain listed on Coinbase. We're trying to get people excited to bring liquidity in. It doesn't exist. There's no liquidity in this market. That's what I'm seeing. Follow us on Twitter as we absolutely talk about anything else that we missed on the show, but
The
100%,
ARM
I think
IPO is oversubscribed by a shit ton. This
70
seems
billion
like
market cap
this just seems like they just want to dump on retail. Like they're trying to get
money.
retail excited. If you really dig into ARM, yes, they've done some cool stuff. Their chips are in almost every major smartphone, but that's already priced in. And what else? Just be really careful tomorrow if you want to get involved in this IPO. I think I'm staying away from it. I
Me
would
too.
like to buy in at a lower market cap and see if we can kind of ride it up from there. But just be really careful. Tomorrow morning is going to be interesting. CPI is going to come out at 8:30 Eastern time. I will be, hanging out on like watching Bloomberg. My guy Mike McKee giving me the data over there. See what they have to say about it. If we see a hot number, the expectation, so the numbers we're looking at year over year for CPI 3.6%, that'd be up from 3.2. For core, it's expected at 4.3, which would be down from 4.7. If both those numbers come in hot, look out. And it wouldn't surprise me if they do. So that is going to wrap it up for today. Appreciate everybody for being here. If you have not yet, do us a favor, hit the like, subscribe, drop some comments, share us out on social if you enjoy what we're putting out. We will be back tomorrow to talk about CPI, the ARM IPO, the volatility that's ensuing as a result of these things, and much more. So have an awesome day, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Take care. Stay safe.